We're back on the trail, and it is a beautiful start to the day. It's about 70 degrees outside. The sun is shining bright. There's no clouds. Looks like there's no chance for rain today, so we might actually be able to keep our feet dry, which is a really new concept for us. But really excited about the hike today. Our friend Bart is letting us stay at his house again tonight, which is really great because that means we're kind of slack packing it a little bit today. Instead of bringing 2 backpacks with all of our stuff, Brian's dealing with some pretty nasty blisters, so I'm just going to carry a backpack for the both of us that has our water in it and our snacks and everything. We don't need to bring sleeping pads and backpacks and all that kind of stuff, so we're just going to slack pack it. Bart's going to pick us up around 3 o'clock, and it's going to be a little shorter day. We're going to do 9 miles today. Both of us have had our feet pretty beat up, so we're going to get in some miles and then call it quits for today, and try and get in about 15 miles tomorrow. But if the day stays like this, it's going to be a lot of fun for hiking. We decided to take a stop for a second. We decided to grab some lunch, get some water. Came on this really cool area of this creek here. You can see behind me. We get to walk across those rocks. They're nice. They weren't too slick or anything. It was kind of nice. But the hike's been really pretty easy up to this point. We're 5 miles in, and I decided to stop and grab some food. And then we've got the hard part of this hike coming up. A lot of uphills to deal with coming up. Another 4 miles to go, and we'll call it quits for the day. But so far, so good. It's been beautiful. Just a lot of creeks, a lot of just beautiful scenery. This is one of the more attractive areas I've seen of the trail so far. Yeah. We're back on Forest Road 119 and taking off where we left off yesterday. We've got about 13 miles to go to the north end of Laurel County. We are supposed to get some rain this afternoon, so we're a little bummed about that, but we can't complain about yesterday. It was a great day for hiking. Today we are going to get wet. It's not an if, it's a when. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to get pretty wet, but it is one storm front, and once that goes through, it'll be dry the rest of the time, but we'll probably have about a good 35-45 minutes of some serious deluge rain, potential thunderstorms. Today's hike doesn't seem to be all that difficult as far as hills and the difficulty like we had around the falls, so looking forward to a good day of hiking the trail. Taking a quick water break. We've gone about 3 miles in about an hour, so we've actually made some really good time. This hasn't been probably the most challenging trail we've had up to this point, but it's been absolutely beautiful. We found this nice little oasis where we could come in drink some water and fill up immediately. The way we've been hiking the last 2 days is we each brought one 1 liter bottle, and as we stop, we drink the full liter, go ahead and fill up our water there, and go to the next water source and do it all over again. And it's worked out really well for us. Neither one of us were dehydrated yesterday. Probably more hydrated these last 2 days than what we were all the previous days, really, because we're really intentionally drinking water. But like I said, the hike's been really good. There's not a lot of crazy hills today like there were yesterday. We don't have the same kind of terrain with all the extra boulders and all that like we did yesterday. So we're hoping to knock out these 13 miles pretty quick. And the director of the Sheltowee Association, Steve Barber, is actually going to be the one that comes and picks us up today and drives us back to my truck. So we're super excited about getting to meet him and chat a little bit. We just took up a pretty challenging hill. It wasn't super high, but it was straight up, and it definitely got our heart pumping. Another thing got our heart pumping is we checked the weather forecast, and that storm that was going to come through, that huge storm band, has actually dissipated. And the truth is, if we get rained on now, we're maybe looking at a shower, and a really short one at that. So there's a strong chance we may not get wet for a second day in a row, and we're both really happy about that. We just came up on McFadden Cemetery. Really interesting area. Tombstones from back in the 1800s, and we're assuming some even further back. A lot of the tombstones were just rocks. I mean, you wouldn't know who was there. So it's just a really interesting thing to see. One of the things I've really loved about this trail is just in less than a quarter of a mile, we went through 3 completely different environments. We were hiking through magnolia trees that made it feel like a rainforest or the jungle, just super thick, right on top of you. Went through another section that felt like the Pacific Northwest with all the pine trees and the pine needles on the ground. And then that opens up to what feels like Kentucky hiking. All of that in less than a quarter of a mile. This has been a lot of fun hiking this trail. There's been so many different kinds of terrain that make this such a unique trail. Just finished up our 13 miles for the day. For the most part, the trail's in pretty good shape, but there were some definite areas where it just felt like the trail was falling apart. There were a lot of dirt bikes and a lot of horses and things like that going through. It just made the trail a little shaky at times. Luckily, the rain never came, so we got to be fairly dry. Our feet were wet, but at least the rest of us stayed relatively dry outside of the sweat. And it was a good hike. We're just waiting for Steve to get here to pick us up, and then we're gonna hightail it home for the night, get some food before we go that way, and I'll be back on the trail. I'm gonna pick up that area I missed last week. I'm gonna be driving down to Yamacraw and hiking up to Cumberland Falls. So that's gonna be a fun hike. Brian's gonna rest his feet for a couple days. They're pretty torn up. So he's definitely earned the right to get some rest. But it has been a fantastic hike, and I can't wait for Saturday.